Hey YouTube family, what is going on? Thanks so much for tuning in. Welcome to the channel. I'm Deborah. This is Purusha Intuitive. Happy Wellness Wednesday. Whoop whoop, right guys? Yay to wellness. So I really wanted to connect. I've been thinking a lot about this idea of the law of attraction. I think modern day, we're very used to an instant fix, right? A magic pill, instant gratification, something that's going to automatically make us feel better. And, you know, the reality to holistic wellness or any type of wellness, any type of healing is it does take time and energy. And this kind of sucks, right? Because I think that we get so ingrained into our patterns, into ways of operating, etc. Sorry, I hope this isn't too loud. Let me know, guys, if this is a little too much, the music in the background. But yeah, we get so ingrained into these ways of being, and then when we want to switch our dynamic, when we want to change it up, it's like this kind of fingers crossed that it's going to automatically shift, you know, it's going to be the magic pill. And I love the law of attraction. Quantum physics has proven it. Like attracts like. What we're putting out there, the vibe we're emanating, etc., is going to attract back to us exactly that. So if we are not liking our situation, our circumstances, if we're constantly complaining, criticizing, judging, unfortunately, that is what we are attracting back to us. We're going to attract more of that. But also, let's take into context, most of us are predisposed to look at the world that way, right? What is not working out for us? What does suck? The annoying things, people, places, and things that show up almost to prove our point, right? And it's not good, bad, right, or wrong. We all do it. It's ego. It's human nature. But there is this element of when we want change, when we truly want authentic change, when we want to be happier, when we want to be more in alignment with who we are, when we want to be healthier, well, etc. That usually happens, you know, when we hit mid-age. In our 20s and 30s, it's way easier to kind of like just bank on youth. Youth is a fabulous thing. But as we get older, we realize, you know, certain habits and patterns don't work for us anymore. We have to rise above. We have to choose new things. If you've been following along with the readings on the channel lately, we're in the new zodiac year. We just had the spring equinox, new moon, etc. So a lot of this is about planting seeds for change. It's taking a look at our life, seeing what's working and what's not, and then saying, okay, I got to make adjustments accordingly. Now, we all know we cannot control other people, places, and things. We can't control behavior, how people show up, etc. That's annoying, in my opinion. You know, it would be great if life was that proverbial chess game that we could, you know, kind of dictate how other people move. But the reality is we're all our own individual entities. We have our own perspectives, belief systems, etc. And people are just going to choose what they're going to choose, right? It's that value of people don't really change. Who they are, who their soul is, that is how they're going to show up, you know? And more often than not, we are going to see and receive those things of individuals, you know, versus getting them to see, right? I hear this a lot when I work with people, this idea, this value, well, hopefully they'll see, or if only they could understand. If someone is not choosing to understand or look at things through your perspective, 9 times out of 10, they're probably not going to do it ever. You know, it becomes wasted energy. It is that value of the hamster wheel. When we try to force change onto someone else. Because again, it's their own path, it's their own learning lessons, their soul lessons, etc. And we don't have control over that, right? So what can we control? That's what the question becomes. What can you control? You can control yourself. You can control who you are, how you show up in situations, how you relate back to other people, etc. And really understanding that value actually puts you in more of alignment with what you want. It's not about making a person or a situation work for you. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And there's a reason it doesn't work, because it's really not the highest and best. And why it is showing up that way is it's spirit, universe, God, however you understand it. It's their way to nudge you in the right direction, right? I love this quote. Again, I'm looking at The Vortex by Abraham Hicks. It's a really beautiful perspective on the law of attraction. It very much simplifies it. If you don't want this thing, then focus on the thing you do want. It's a quick flip. Easier said than done. You know, most of our challenges in life is getting over our patterning, our ingrained beliefs, behaviors, etc. And so it kind of stems back to knowing yourself. This is the perfect time of year. We're in Aries season. It governs the house of self. So it's the perfect time of year to take time and step back and say, who am I? How do I operate? Why do things trigger me? What is that speaking to me? And this quote actually expounds upon that. On page 117, it says, you have personal, individual, loving, accurate feedback, thought by thought, moment by moment, to help you know when you are in alignment with that broader perspective and when you are not. That is our emotional guidance system. When our emotions are being triggered one way or the other, we know something's off base. Even frustration, tension, not feeling like our voice is being heard, it's an indicator that the recipient of that is in fact doing that, right? Like they're not hearing what we're trying to say. They're not giving us the respect and dignity that we deserve. That is very easy to see. And yeah, like sometimes we blame ourselves, right? I think that was actually in one of the readings that I did this past week. We often blame ourselves like, oh, well, I'm not communicating it appropriately, or it's my fault, or whatever. When 9 times out of 10, it's really not necessarily true, unless, we're using some low vibey tactics like control, manipulation, etc. We know when someone or something is not treating us with integrity, with respect. That's where that frustration comes into play. It's also where that need of trying to force the issue, doing it better, making them see, whatever it might be, we get into that hamster wheel to kind of better our environment, when really all it's bringing about is more frustration and tension. It's that concept of continually beating our head against the wall with no new results. It might make us feel like, oh, well, if I try it this way, then it's going to work. It might give us that element of hope, but really it ends up falling flat on its feet. I thought this was important to talk about today because, like I said, in the modern world, we often look to these things as quick fixes. Usually the stuff that is harder to kind of, wrap our minds around, takes a little bit more intention, more work. It can be really challenging, and we can kind of feel like, well, it's a crapshoot, right? It's never going to happen. It's never going to change. I'm always going to attract these people. It's always going to be this way, etc. Remember, life doesn't really work in absolutes. Sometimes it just means that the thing we want so desperately the patterning of disbelief, unworthiness is so ingrained in our being that it just takes that extra effort, that extra time and intention to hammer it out of us. What does this mean? It means practically plugging away at it day in and day out. There's this awesome book I love. It's called Mastery, and it's all about achieving your goals and dreams. And he makes the most profound statement by saying, most of life is on the plateau. It's in the place that we have to constantly put in the work, put in the time, the effort, the due diligence, day in and day out, achieving, refining, achieving our goals and dreams. It's spent in that period where it's just the mundane. And that's why most people are not successful, is because we are in that space and we get bored and we want stimulation. The brain, the mind is constantly looking towards pleasure and fulfillment. But that kind of goes back to pleasure is actually found in our purity of consciousness. Yes, we can have a lot of fun with friends, family, whether that's hanging out, laughing, socializing, partying, doing something that you love to do, a certain habit, etc. Or hobby is what I meant. Sorry about that. But the fun always comes to an end. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer by saying that, I promise you. It's just that value that happiness, true fulfillment is found in the peace of every moment. It is the practice of presence, right? Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about this. If you're into self-help and wellness, I'm assuming watching these videos, you probably do gravitate towards that. And that's the thing. I think in human life, in nature, we get so caught up in the rigmarole, the constantly doing and making things happen and achieve and success, etc. Those things have their element of fulfillment, but it really doesn't bring us true, authentic happiness. True, authentic happiness is found within ourself, right? We hear that a lot. And Maharishi Ayurveda talks a lot about this, that fulfillment, happiness, youth, longevity, it is self-referral. We, our own consciousness, our clarity, our ability to be aware, to understand, to have that broader perspective is rooted in our consciousness, our self, in our value, in our ability to see and know. And it's not just about integrity or being the best person or the perfect person or however we compartmentalize it. It really truly is about awareness and recognizing that life is so vast, it is so huge. There are so many different perspectives, there are so many different opportunities, and diving into what works best for us is truly what makes us happy and fulfilled. It de-stresses, it takes away all the BS. We can be more grounded in who we are. We're not at the, what do I want to say? What is it? It's not the circumstances, but we're not at the beck and call of our outside circumstances, right? We're not thrown to the whims and fancies to our outside environment. We can actually be grounded in ourselves. And when we are grounded in ourselves, that's when we can make those choices that are more self-honoring. Not just forcing the issue, getting the ego to, react or, kind of get back at someone, etc. We all know that doesn't feel good at the end of the day. It feels good for a moment. It's instant gratification, but then when it wears off, when you've pushed that person away, when you are not happy, when you're left alone, that's when it starts to resonate, the actions that we chose. And that's why living out of integrity is so profound. It's so valuable to our happiness, our well-being, because when we choose integrity out of our own morals, our own tradition, what is highest and best for us, that is where happiness and fulfillment is found. And really, that is where the law of attraction is rooted. Not in the magic pill, not in the instant gratification. Usually, if something is promising us quick results, it's meh. Probably not the best, because that's not how life evolves, especially around the things that we are more attached to, or we're more triggered, or have deeper woundings. Those things take a little bit of time. So give yourself a little TLC, that extra love and care, knowing that it is gonna come. You just have to put in the work. I know, easier said than done. But I am always here to love and support. I love being a cheerleader for life. We all deserve it. We are all amazing, beautiful, powerful beings. And I love to help support people towards their highest and best. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, listening always, and the support to the channel. I'm sending all the love and blessings back your way.